As always, don't forget to check below in the video description for the best price on tools and parts I use in today's video. Today, got my 2010 BMW X5 or E70, and I was looking for videos. I always like to watch a video myself before I do a project, just to, catch if there's anything I need to know, or stay away from this or that or whatever. And there was like no videos on this. So, well, there was like one. He was talking about compressing the spring before you take it out, and I was like, is that really necessary? It's not. So I'm going to show you a really simple kind of walkthrough of how to replace this strut assembly in your E70. Let's check it out. Okay, so I've got my old one out. I've got my new one sitting up in there. This is kind of going to be a brief overview, but I am going to show you every step you need to know to be able to do this replacement. So first, you're going to take your wheel off. You got 17 millimeter, the little bolts or whatever. Of course, you're going to want to lift the car before you do that. Safety, always use a jack stand. This jack stand right here I'm using to hold everything up while you're at that part of it. But before we talk about that, let's talk about the first couple things you need to do to get to where I'm at. So basically, you got your sway bar link. Okay, this is gonna go in right there. And what is it? I think it's like a 17 or 18 bolt there, and it will spin on you. So what you'll have to do is grab onto this with a pair of vice grips like that right there. And you may tear this boot up. I don't know a better way to do it. I'm not worried about it. You can take some RTV or some sealant. There will be a link below in the video description for that. You can put that on there. That may kind of help to seal it up. You may tear this boot up a lot doing it like this, but there's just, on the stock one, there's nowhere to hold onto the stub except by grabbing where the boot is to hold this. Also, if you just take this off and you try and pull it out, it's not going to pull out. So what you're going to have to do is, you got the car way jacked up, you're going to take your jack stand and you're going to put your jack stand right where my finger's at, okay? And then you're going to, once the jack stand's there, you're going to begin to lower the car onto the jack stand while you're watching your sway bar link, okay? And as it begins to lower, the tension's going to let up off of this thing, and then you'll just be able to pull it out. That's important to remember for the installation also. You're going to need to do the same thing in order to be able to stick it back in there and tighten it back up. Okay, so that's one part. Now, next thing we got is this little sensor, and basically you got a 10 millimeter nut sitting right here, and I just took a pair of pliers and held onto this, and I took my nut off, and then I kind of got this out of the way because I figured once we got this off, that would be a problem if that was still connected. Maybe we'd break the sensor or something. Next, we have got, I'm trying to think of the order. I got the bolts here in order. So this is going from beginning to end. So we took the studs off. What is this? This 10 I actually just found on the ground, so it's not important. So then we had this thing. What is this thing? We have, yes, I believe it's this bolt going through here, and this strut assembly sets in to this little cup, and you're gonna take the bolt out right there, and it just screws in to this piece. There's not like a nut on the other end. Focus camera. Yeah, you can just see the threads there. So you gotta take that out. We talked about the sway bar link. We talked about this piece and your upper ball joint. Okay, you're gonna have a bolt that goes through. I believe it's this one right here. Right here. Oh, we're going out of order. The next one, because we're still going to want that to be held up, I believe. The next one's going to be this big bolt, which sits down right through here, okay? And we're going to have to take this off in order to be able to pull your strut assembly up out of this cup, okay? And you know what? That is actually the last thing, because when this is still hooked up, you're not going to be able to push down far enough. So first, you'll take this off, and that's going to be this bolt right here. They're all like 17, 18. I think there's a 21. I think this big one's a 21. The nut on the end's a 19. And you'll take this off. Once you get the bolt, the through bolt and nut, which is going to be right in here. The bolt head's going to be here. The nut's going to be here. Once you get that off, this is still going to be stuck to this. So what you'll do is you'll take a big old hammer, bam, bam, bam. And what'll happen is this thing will start to move up. You don't really, this metal, it's aluminum and it looks really thin, so you don't want to really bang on that too hard because you could like bend it or damage it. This is a pretty solid piece of metal, So do most of your hard hitting just straight onto here. Once it's almost all the way out, you can just tap, tap, and it should pop out. And then it'll drop, and then that's when you'll have this last bolt, this big bolt, that'll be going through here. And then you take that out, and then you can kind of push down on your rotor, and this will just kind of still be stuck up there, and you'll be able to kind of pull this little piece. It's just this little piece right here. You can see it wiggles. Yeah, you'll be able to pull this piece down and out. And the big bolt, it might be that one, I don't know. There's this one, that one. Hopefully you can at least see everything. And remember, when you're putting everything back together, there's this bracket. Another thing I didn't mention yet, and this is going to need to go earlier on in the video, is there's this wheel speed sensor, okay? And he's going to go right in there. And what size was that? That's like it's this one right here. It's a T5 or 5mm Allen. Not a Torx, it's an Allen, 5mm Allen. And when you take that out, you can pull your wheel speed sensor out. And so when this thing pulls forward, it's not going to be pulling on that wire. There's also a brake sensor wire right here. I didn't have any problem with the brake sensor wire. Now, once you've done all that, this thing's going to be just flopping around. You can see this whole piece is flopping around, okay? And I've got them sitting on this jack stand that's just kind of holding them up, because if you don't, it's going to be pulling on your brake hose. So once you've done all of that, you've gotten all those bolts we've shown, and one more time review. We got your upper ball joint. If we look in order, got your wheel studs. We've got, this looks like this bolt right here. This is going to be, it's going to be on this side because that's the last step. Then you've got this piece right there, which goes up through there. Then we've got this piece, which is the bottom piece. Remember your little 10mm, before you take this off, you need to take this off. And then you've got all this stuff out, and then this is just dangling. You got your wheel speed sensor off, okay? Now we're gonna come up here. We've got this piece, it's gonna be sitting right here. I believe this piece is gonna be sitting up over top, something like that. This is, you got some plastic fasteners, okay? And so you'll take that, and there should be one right here also. You're gonna take that off, set him off to the side. Then there's gonna be this piece is gonna be sitting right here. And you've got, let's see, I don't even see where they go. But you've got, yeah, right there they are, okay. So you've got a 10 and a 10, and you're gonna take these two off, and you'll get this plastic piece out of your way. Now, you don't have to take this bar off. We've got a 13, a 13, and a 13, okay? Now, your new strut assembly may come with new nuts. And BMW is going to recommend you replace every fastener you remove. You can do that. I personally am not doing that. I'm not endorsing it just because I don't want to be liable for safety issues. I'm just going to tell you what I did, okay? See how these nuts are really small? And see how these are really big, okay? You could just buy brand new BMW strut nuts, okay? And the reason is when you take these off, you're going to see that this thing can move around in those holes, and it has something to do with your alignment. I'm going to wipe my screen off real quick. There we go. All right, it has something to do with your alignment. So you're going to want the really big nuts. Don't laugh. Because you're going to want to be able to tighten them down exactly in the same place where they were. It's a good idea once you've done this job to go ahead and take it and get it aligned, because your alignment's probably going to be a little off, because like I said, this thing can move a little bit, which is effectively going to affect your alignment. So anyways, that is pretty much it, guys. Again, safety, they say replace every fastener that comes out of this thing, put new ones in. It may be a little overkill. Like I said, I just put the regular stuff back on, but it's not too bad of a job. It calls for 2.6 hours. To me, it felt like a normal one. A lot of your strut assemblies call for 1.5 hours or 1.3, 1.8, 1.5, somewhere around there. It kind of felt like that to me, so it didn't feel like too bad of a job. It just, there was no YouTube video, so. But now there is. So that is gonna conclude the little project. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else. Sorry if this is long and drawn out. I just wanted to do like a once through kind of clip, and hopefully you got a really good idea of what you need to do now. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.